Hello, today we're in Tallinn, properly this time, not drinking but visiting the old town. So we're going to go up the steps to the old town. Now this is a World Heritage Site, so we're going to walk all the way up to the top. So we pride ourselves on being super fit and healthy. But it's ridiculous. I'm not, I don't do any exercise and it's starting to show. And now we're in the old town, walking through the cobblestone pavements, the colourful buildings, look, cute little streets. So in front of us is a classic Russian Orthodox church, or at least we think it is. It's bloody huge. Look at the size of that building. It's the roundness of it.
Yeah, that's the Estonian White House, what you call it? Oh, where the 101 men sit, what you call it?
House of Parliament?
Yeah.
Is it?
Right.
So it's actually starting to sleet. So October 23rd?
23rd today.
October 23rd and we have sleet. It's the first sleet of this sort of autumn winter. I know it's not the first sleet of the year because of January, etc. But there we go. Look, what a view.
We're not time you're going to go in and listen to the...
Here is the Parliament building for Estonia. Parliament of Estonia. And they have opposite us this grand cathedral-like building. And you can have a look. There's like a... Look. I don't think I'm... We're watching them, they're watching us. So apparently there's going to be protests outside the House of Parliament building today because of COVID restrictions.
No, because the vaccine.
Yeah, vaccine passport mandates, which is... Well, we're not going to debate that here. But just a fun fact about this cathedral. It's called the Alexander Nevelny Cathedral. Yeah, we'll go in. And basically it's a sign of the Russian Empire. And it was built in 1900. Or completed in 1900. And it basically... in 1924, when Estonia had a bit of re-independence, they wanted to get it knocked down, but they couldn't afford to do it. But what's interesting is when Estonia regained re-independence, or how you want to word it, in 1991, they actually restored it and made it look really nice again. That's interesting. It was also built on this hill, which they say is where Galev, the giant, was buried, and that's why it had structural problems, because it was a bit disrespectful to build it on the Estonian sort of folk legend that is Galev, the giant. But it's a hell of a building, and they always use the word hell of a building for a Christian Russian Orthodox church, never a good thing. So we went inside the church, the cathedral I should say. Really pretty, not like to film in there or anything. Lots of people in there, there's a few blessings going on I think. Some people getting holy water. Someone looked quite rough actually, a bit fluey, a bit COVID-y, and they're going to get some holy water. I'm afraid that, in my opinion, that won't help them. But it was a really nice building on the inside as well, more ground on the outside. What's interesting though is there's no places to sit. So in a traditional English church, you've got rows and rows of seats for services, but in there, you just couldn't have a service. It's just it's all for show, really. In the winter, this is like lethal. This is great though. It does feel a bit like Assassin's Creed or something. You've got all these like places where you can murder someone, you know? Any closer? No, we don't need another epidemic. I'll give you bird flu.
Oh my god. It's impossible. It's so hard.
What a workout, yeah.
Oh my god.
Hello.
Oh, I could stay here now forever.
I bet you could. So we're in the shop.
That's it. It's sold. I'm here now forever.
He likes you.
See on merino puhul. See on merino puhul ja küll, aga siin on villa, no villa.
So this is like the gatehouse.
You waiting for end.
No Welsh flag outside the pub today. So there we go. No longer football going on. This is like a really nice chocolatier cafe. Cafe Pierre. Really tasty. Look, we've got a little seat here. Highly recommend coming here.
Yeah,
For
all the coffee and chocolate cake was so nice.
oh, that got it. We have arrived at the Estonian Open Air Museum. Perfect place to go during a pandemic. This is a granary, an old-fashioned one. I think they make flour there. And look, they have a cat hole. It's a strange insult, but no, what it is, it's a hole, I've been told, to let the cats in to get rid of the rats. It's an old cooking tent. They're called cones? A conical pole tent, summer kitchen. We're inside a kiln room where they used to keep warm, bring animals in here, the smaller ones, during the winter, and apparently to dry grain. It's a bit dark in here because, well, they didn't have electricity back then, so they've included some small lights to give it a natural vibe. So this is the large kiln then, see?
Oh, yeah.
So this is where they would, it's quite a large thing, they'd have had wood burning in here, and that would have kept this whole place warm, or warmish. So, pretty amazing. So, the entrances are tiny, look how small this is. We're going underneath there, incredible. So I'm guessing that that's the case, that there's, people were much shorter back then. But this was called the smoke hole, closed by a sliding hatch, was used to let out the smoke that rose to the upper part of the room when heating. Oh, so it just got really smoky in here. Look, there's no chimney system. So this would just all be full of smoke. That's insane. So the reason why the doors are so low is to keep the heat in, basically. So heat rises, and then on top of here, you're not going to see this, but on top there's like, up here, they would have put grain. So the mill behind me for grounding and milling, basically you'd attach sails to it normally to catch the wind, and had a tail pole, to rotate and face the wind. Kind of makes sense that it's off the water as well, doesn't it? Because it's usually windier by water due to temperature differences. So that's interesting. And also, like, they had to take the sails off when they weren't using it, like when you weren't milling, because the friction would get really hot and you could get fires. So that's that I did not know. So you can get a mill fire due to friction. Interesting. Because this place is going to close, we're trying to run around to see everything. I feel a little bit like it's like a horror movie where we're running from some evil spirit. You know what's been lovely about Tallinn though? A lot of people have said, "Hey, Wales," when they've seen my hat. That's the difference, isn't it? When you come to a tourist area, people want to reach out to other people. Christina, here's an interesting argument to you.
Right.
Estonia haven't been very quick to adopt wind energy, have they?
No.
There's like a lot of resistance. But then when you think about the roots of Estonia, they harnessed the wind all the time for milling. I mean, these are, like the Baltic, Scandinavia, they're famous for these buildings, aren't they? Northern Europe. Mm-hmm. So the irony, it's almost an irony that Estonia do not want wind farms, or some Estonians don't, because they used to use it all the time. So I don't see the difference. I understand they're not as unique, and they're white and they're boring, but Estonia is pretty windy, and I do think, that with the climate change argument, wind is going to be one of the ways to go, because wind is a pretty good source of energy. I think that kind of sums up the Soviet Union era. Look, the apartment building was erected in 1933, according to standard design number 61. So just an interesting concept, and of course it looks something like this. This is very Soviet Union, post Second World War. Christina's going inside. We're going in? Oh. So these swings are quite common in Estonia. Something fun to do, so you kind of both go on one side and the other. Shall I try and go on the other side, Christina, and film?
On the other side, really.
Anyway, so here we are, the Baltic Sea
It's like squatting.
in the distance. It's very windy. I apologise if you can't hear very well. I would say, Christina, wouldn't you agree here, not while we're swinging, that this place is sort of like a reminder?
How lucky we are to have everything and more than they had back then.
I agree. I also think, and I'm gonna vomit. I also think as well, it's like a juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Juxtaposition where we have, you know, you have your modern Estonia, which is an e-country, focused very much on information and technology, and you have what we used to be, which is just a farm-centric way of
No
living.
electricity,
So I think that's why it's here. It's
soiled roads.
exactly, really good soil, black soil. But so like a reminder to Estonians that where we are, or where they came from. So that farming culture, and it's slap bang in the middle of Tallinn. And remember, all the farms that they have on this place, some are from this area, but some are from South Estonia,
Yeah.
and some are from
They're quite
West.
similar.
Are very similar.
Ours is different, it built slightly different thingy.
Well, they all just come from different places, haven't they? They've transported them here, so they're all in one place.
Swing, like you go over with this one, you can't be covered up. People like doing the overs. There's actually like competitions around Europe to do them.
Yes, they go all the way around.
So it's quite good at that. Experience, but
I would never go all the way around. If you enjoy our content, please like and subscribe. Let's help this channel grow. Welshtonians will continue to explore Estonia.
thank you for watching. Aitäh, tšauki!